I go on Marketplace and I ask people that have table saws whether or not I can take them for scrap. I see how long they've been on there, and then a lot of the time they'll just give them away because they're looking to clear out space in their garage. So at first I was going to try and winch this down the stairs, but now I realize I don't have what I need to do that, so I'm going to try to take off as much weight as possible here. Probably have steel toes on, but I had Crocs on before I had these shoes on, so. So initially when I got this thing, I was gonna scrap it, but the guy that I got it from said that he thought it had a bad bearing in here, which is why I was gonna scrap it. But this is the pulley that drives the blade. But anyway, it just looks to me like this is a keyed shaft, and you can see that little set screw there. Well, I just bent the crap out of that pulley. Dang, this was pretty much a brand new blade that I probably just ruined with this pry bar. Definitely loosened it up if nothing else. Oh. You can tell someone's been running this saw, and this pulley is just spinning on the shaft violently. Just got the new pulley and key in the mail. It's kind of bent over, so we're gonna have to file that out. try to take just a hair off the top of this. I've had this on and off here like 10 times now. Finally filed this down. I think I got all the burrs off of it so that the key fits in here nice. And make sure one more time that there's nothing stuck in the corner inside of here. It could be keeping this thing from seating the whole way. Seems good. Okay, so put that in there. The key actually seems a little looser than I would like it at this point, but this thing is completely boogered from me using a punch and trying to punch it back off of here because it goes on here really tight. Started. Now hopefully this is the one. Just a little bit more. Oh yeah. It's almost the whole way in there now. Camera's getting all full of sawdust. We're gonna see if this thing turns on. Seems to have a little bit of wobble and vibration to it, but once I bolt it down to this table, it should be fine, and then maybe the pulleys will kind of find their spot as I run it. I don't know, but should be good. Blade's definitely like brand new, which is awesome. I like to figure out what's going on with some of this cordage before someone gets zapped. So this is literally just an extension cord. Kind of nice. A piece of Romex that someone wired a 3-prong onto the end of. No ground, so that's always nice to see. And then they just fed this piece of Romex behind this board, and that is where the switch is for turning the saw on. So I'm just going to do this to all four corners now, and that'll hold this piece of wood on here, and then this thing won't move around so much. I'm going to bolt this to the plywood. I got this big container of carriage bolts from my grandpa out of his basement, and I just noticed that all of these, or at least most of them, have gray paint on the heads. And I found another bin that had nuts, and a lot of the nuts have gray paint on them, so he must have spent a ton of time, I probably have hundreds of these, taking these off of something and saving them. So I was just going to mount the caster wheels through these holes, but they're a little bit thin and rusty, and then also they're missing off two sides where they just rusted and broke off. This one's still kind of okay. But what I'm going to do is move this piece, which is bolted on here, right there. I'm going to move it down flush with right here, and then I'm going to sandwich the caster wheel in here, and then bolt it back up. Where's the cocoon there? Another nuts fall. Yeah, get it. So then cut off first. I'll sandwich that in there. Caster wheel. And tuck it in there. Oh, there's a little cocoon in there. Ow. Oh, that hurt. The last one, and I'll come off the back. The rest of these I'm not just going perfectly off the back. You know what I didn't even think of is this thing falling down in here. I just noticed that all of these are different lengths. In order to take off some of this sort of thing, I'm going to line them all up at the top, and then I think I'm going to take them off right here. So those turned out pretty good. Now I just have to bolt them back on there. I actually ended up needing to take like an extra 1/2 inch off because the holes didn't line up exactly how I wanted them to. So that's my mistake there. But we're just going to put these bolts back through here. Okay, so that's exactly how I want it. Now, I'm going to do this to the other 4 sides, but first I'm going to make sure that this caster goes on the way that I want to here. I'm just going to sandwich it right in here like this. But instead of using these outside bolts the way that it was before, there's these inside bolts here, there and there. And I'm going to drill those out, and then I'm going to use those instead, since they're a little bit closer to this, and I'm going to use that to clamp this in there. And then maybe even if I need to, I can use this top bolt because this won't go the whole way in there. So that'll also act as a clamping force up there. Okay. Okay, that's in all the way. That seems pretty good. Even those are not the pair of pliers to be doing this, I'd say. But they're alright. Yeah, that pulled these 2 pieces of metal together, so I'm just going to finish up all 4 of these now. I accidentally just torqued one of these bolts off, so we're going to try not to do that again, but this is how this is working out. So I have this centered up perfectly on this table, and now I'm going to bolt it down on here. So I'm just tracing out these holes on the bottom. In the bolt bin I found 4 pretty nice bolts. Most of them are threaded the whole way except for this one. Hopefully it still works and I don't have to toss like some sort of spacer in there because it's the only diameter. The last one of this diameter. Found some nice washers, and these flange nuts, these things are beautiful. I don't know where they came from, but I have 4 of them. Came from something recent probably, but I don't remember what it was. Piece of cake. I usually try to grab an extension that is definitely bigger than what I need so that I don't have to go back and get a bigger one. But I think I grabbed the wrong one here because this thing is just ridiculously large. Now we're in business here. Enough of that silly ratchet. Gosh, was that ever loud? I hope that didn't wake up the neighbors. Call that pretty good. So this table saw so old that it doesn't have a power on-off switch. And so what this person did is they wired this switch to this outlet, and then they just plugged the table saw into the outlet for a kill switch, and they didn't wire in the ground. I'm weird about wiring in the ground. And then they just ran a piece of Romex like an extension cord off of this. I'm doing here is covering over these holes, just because I don't want a bunch of sawdust getting in here and just creating like a little tinder box for this switch. I know very little about this electrical stuff, but one thing I know is make your hook clockwise, so when you tighten the screw, the wire wraps around it. Because if you do it opposite, it's going to want to undo the hook that you put on the wire. That wire nut back on there, and just had to take this all back apart because I forgot to put this little locking ring back on here to lock this, whatever you want to call it, wire clamp to the little conduit box. So we're gonna put that on here now. Rookie mistake, cost us like 5 minutes or something. Just plug this in for like a little dry run here before I button everything up, just to see if this works. No sparks yet, no smoke yet. So there's where we mounted the switch. You look up under here, and here's the extension cord that goes to the wall. Little piece of Romex over here to this box, and then to tie this up in here. And then this cord, which comes off the motor of the table saw, I'll just plug in there, and then we'll be good to go. This joiner attachment is pretty wicked, but definitely needs sharpened. So that'll be a project in the future. It's another really nice racking fence. miter gauge too. So I'm probably going to end up building a sled for this in the future and extending the table this way.